Whitespace does not matter. Now, I mentioned this really early on, but whitespace does not matter. You can see that I actually have an element right here, an H2. Actually, this whole thing is an element. And I don't have any spacing or new lines or anything. It's just an H2 opening tag, a bunch of text, and then an H2 closing tag. But with a paragraph, I have the P element here, and then I've actually broken this onto a new line, added a bunch of extra spaces in here. And then at the very end, again, I broke it onto a new line, a bunch of extra spaces. Now, your browser does not care how many spaces there are. It's going to try to condense it all down into one space anyways. So as an example, let's go ahead and add a space just after the word ipsum. Just gonna add a bunch of spaces. Now, if we were writing a newspaper article, this would look terrible. It would be 2 words, a comma, and then all these different spaces. And those little dots that you see, after I highlight the space, that just tells me it's a space. That's not actually there, it's just telling me there's a space. So let's go ahead, save that, head on over to your browser, and let's hit refresh, and we're going to see, as soon as I hit refresh, absolutely nothing is going to change. So let's reload this page. I can reload this 100 times, nothing looks like it changes. However, if we click somewhere on the page, we can go right-click, view page source, and we can see all of our source code. And this is exactly what I've written in VS Code. And you can see that all the spaces are there. But your browser says, no, you don't need all those spaces. Let's compress that into just one visual space. So whitespace does not matter. Another example here is I could add all these new lines, and there's a bunch of new lines. You can actually see there's so many new lines that I can't even really read the code anymore. And let's go ahead and add some more lorem in here. So lorem tab, and I should have 2 paragraphs, right? I should have this first paragraph, and I can get rid of this whitespace because it does not matter. I have 3 new lines, and then I have another paragraph. Now, intuitively, you would think it would create 2 paragraphs for us. It's not going to do that. So if I save this, flip on over to the browser, what you're going to see is these are combined together. And again, it took all of those new lines and squished it into one single space for you. Now, if you want multiple paragraphs, what you have to do is you have to close this paragraph element. Let's close that paragraph element, and this creates its first paragraph. Let's collapse that, and let's go up here. And we just have to reopen this, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing here in just a second. And so all I did was I closed that first element up here, and I reopened a new one down here. So if we take a look at this together, we have paragraph 1, paragraph 2. They're not nested. It's not a paragraph inside of a paragraph. It's a paragraph, and then we close it, and then a second paragraph, and then we close that. So let's go ahead and click save. And now when we refresh our page, we're going to see that this is actually 2 separate paragraphs, the way we probably wanted it to be in the first place. So the lesson here is whitespace does not matter. If you want to use extra whitespace, there are ways to do that, such as wrapping your text in different paragraphs or different H1s or different H2s. And as just one more example, let's go ahead and let's see what happens when I put this is on a new line right in my H1, just to demonstrate that this is not specific just to paragraphs either. So I'm going to save that, go over here, hit refresh, and it's not on a new line. And again, that's because our browser does not care. Even though we've written the code that way, our browser does not care that it has this extra white space. So I'm just going to go ahead, clean this up, just delete that extra white space because I like my code to be nice and tidy. And this is what we're left with. Next up, let's take a look at nesting elements a little bit more. We've actually already been doing it with HTML, head, title, body, H1, H2, and paragraph. These are nesting, but let's get into some terminology.